Market Minds. How is everybody doing today? Thank you for joining me. I am Howard Greenberg. If you don't know, the crypto instructor here over at Prosper Trading Academy, and we are going to talk a little bit about the crypto mining companies or crypto treasury companies that have all sort of entered the fray. Jake Jacobson, how are you doing, my man? I hope all is well, sir. Zora, always good to see you. Dorothy, also glad to see everybody. Hey, Michael, am I the one that has to make this present, or do you add it to the screen? There we go. Okay, so everybody do me a big favor, please, and smash that like button, the subscribe button, all those good things. Robert, what's going on? Julia, always, hey, Fong, how are you doing? Haven't seen you in a while. Hello, Eric, everybody. Do me a favor, hit the like, subscribe, all those good things so we can share this with more traders. Today, we are going to talk a little bit about treasury companies, crypto treasury companies. They seem to be the hottest thing out there right now. Hey, Christina, David, everybody, hello. If you haven't been watching, you've really sort of been missing out. But, these crypto treasury companies are just taking off left and right. And not only are they launching left and right, but their results are pretty impressive. And when I say they are left or right, this is a great website I like to use in the crypto room. It is bitcointreasuries.net. And it shows you just on the Bitcoin side. So this doesn't even include the alts we're about to talk about. But just when it comes to Bitcoin, there are over 100 publicly held companies that have declared that they are part of the Bitcoin treasury world. And you can see, obviously, MicroStrategy or strategy at the top. But the other part that I would point out is that there are 47 companies as of today that are holding at least 1,000 Bitcoin. So let that settle in for a second. 1,000 Bitcoin being held by 47 different publicly held companies. If I had told you that a few years ago, you probably would have told me I was absolutely insane. Rocky Mountain Chainsaw, how are you doing today? We have definitely come a long way, and quite honestly, there's good and bad that comes to this. In the title you saw, are these sustainable? And should you be buying some of these companies? That is probably the question sort of on the top of everybody's mind. And what I would say, first of all, is we probably want to break down some of these companies a little bit into how they operate or what they do, because it's not one size fit all or one solution fit all. And what I mean there is we do see that there are companies like MicroStrategy, MetaPlanet for some of them that are what we call pure play Bitcoin treasuries. It means that the main identity of that company or what they want to be is just a Bitcoin holder, okay? They raise money through debt offerings, through stock issuances, or through their cash flow and convert it into Bitcoin. And investors are usually buying these stocks as a leveraged proxy on Bitcoin. As I said, MicroStrategy, MetaPlanet, some of the biggest when it comes to this. If I go back here a slide, Bitcoin Standard Treasury would fall into that. XXI falls into that, which is 21. Those would be the companies that are strictly here to hold Bitcoin and hold Bitcoin. And Ida, how are you? Welcome over to Market Minds. And again, these companies are companies that they are strictly in business, so to speak, to attempt to increase the amount of Bitcoin they hold per share. Secondly, we run into companies that have corporate treasuries that allocate part of their cash to buy Bitcoin. The two biggest, in my opinion, or not my opinion, two biggest when it comes to the size of their holdings are Tesla and Block. Block formerly being Square, now trades under the ticker XYZ. they take a portion of their corporate cash that they hold. Every company holds not only cash, but they sometimes usually hold foreign currencies. They sometimes hold gold. They sometimes hold short-term U.S. Treasuries in their sort of portfolio that their CFOs or others manage for them. And for Tesla and for Block, what they do is they buy Bitcoin, doing it in a very different way. Tesla did it in one major buy, and now they've sort of topped off that buy here and there over the last year. Whereas Block has the tendency, and what Block does is they do what we call cost to average. Every month, Block, run by Mr. Dorsey, a huge Bitcoin maximalist, Jack Dorsey, they just every month buy it. One of the reasons that's interesting, they're one of the only companies that are currently holding some Bitcoin at a loss, and that they recently bought at the highs towards 117,500, their last major buy. So the third ones that we have are companies that are ETFs, and you want to separate those from the others. And the reason you want to separate them from the others, as these companies don't actually invest in Bitcoin, but they are holding Bitcoin for you, the investor. And what it means there is when somebody buys IBIT, BlackRock has to turn around and purchase Bitcoin with those dollars that they just brought in, or Fidelity or Grayscale or CoinShares or whomever else it is. They are simply acting as custodians for those companies. I bring that up because a lot of times you will see fake information out there on the internet. I know it's hard to believe that that's out there in this day and age, but it is. And what I mean there is some of these companies or people will say, hey, look, BlackRock's buying all this Bitcoin. Look how bullish it is. No, it's usually when you look into it, while they have bought Bitcoin for their individual funds, especially their global investment fund, in general, those buys and sells are just the underlying asset for their ETFs. And then lastly, what you find is there are crypto native treasuries, protocol foundations, whether that be the Ethereum Foundation, the Solana Foundation, WorldCoin recently, that hold crypto assets raised through their token sales or grants. These aren't corporations in the traditional sense, but they function as treasury managers for the ecosystem. So again, almost every crypto out there has a foundation that is involved with it. Most of them hold a large portion of the assets they have in that native currency. So those are sort of the four breakdowns of what crypto treasury companies are. With that being said, I sort of want to get into the ones that have launched in the last week or have been announced in the last week and talk a little bit about those. Anybody, I'm going to hit you guys up. Who can tell me what are some of the names you think I'm going to talk about here? Have you seen any releases this week? Have you been watching any of these stocks that have suddenly taken off? Let me know. Nobody's been watching them this week? Okay, well, then we will get into them. The first one that you might have seen, although actually I can't even read what that is on the screen here. There you go, Eli's Radar. QMM absolutely is one of them. I'm going to cheat a little bit, is you've got QMM is definitely one of them, as you said. There's one that starts with an O that popped first. Did anyone watch Octo this week? OCTO. Let me do something here. I'm going to go off of the track here for a second. I'm going to go to the actual charts themselves. It's just going to be a little bit easier to show you some of them this week. And I'm going to start with Octo, actually. OCTO. 8-company holding. This stock moved from trading at about $1.60. It is today trading at $39. It went up something like 2,300% in one day. This is a company that is got investment from Bitminer. You might know them, BMNR. Another one of the companies that's been mooning, one that we are in a lot of the different rooms here at Prosper, BMNR here, Bitminer, company run by Tom Lee. They invested along with, as we talked about. So this becomes, it's funny, Octo combines a couple of things here. Octo was an existing holding company that announced that they were going to change from a software company into a crypto treasury company. And they're doing so with a $20 million strategic investment from Bitminer, and then another $250 million led by WorldCoin, the actual coin they're going to hold, Discovery Capital, Gamma, Falcon X, Kraken, Pantera, and many others. You might have heard of Dan Ives. Dan Ives is part of Wedbush, sort of another sort of famous CNBC analyst that you see around, a tech AI analyst. He has been appointed as the chairman of the board here. And they announced that they conducted a private placement and they sold 171 million shares at $1.46 a share, raising $250 million. If you were one of those people that were lucky enough to get in there, you are now up 39x on your investment. So when you might ask, why are these things happening so rapidly and do we keep on seeing them? It's because they have been, in general, really, really that change to orbs today. I don't know. It's still showing up as Octo on mine there, Gio. Orbs, the Orbs I know is actually a crypto project that is different, but it definitely could have changed their name. Without a doubt, it is showing. 8Co still shows as Otco on mine here. The next one that took off that you guys all nailed was QMM. QMM Holdings. Another one took off, was trading somewhere around $7. Yeah, Christina, that's what we're going to talk about. A lot of these have dropped. If you noticed, these investors, a lot of these have gone tremendously up and then tremendously down. That is sort of what we led into. Are they sustainable is the question you have to ask yourself. And that I'll get to at the end, so to speak. And QMM has announced that they are going to be a crypto native company. This one makes me crack up because they haven't even officially announced what they're buying. All they said is that they want to be a crypto things, and they mentioned Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana, but not even a true plan as to what they're going to do. And this thing shot up, like I said, from about $1 at the time, all the way up to $300, now has retraced all the way down to $89. So it is crazy at how these things change. And it would make sense, Gio, if you don't know, WorldCoin, their whole thing is about scanning everybody's irises to prove human identity versus AI identity in the future. So that doesn't surprise me at all if they change their symbol there. And QMM, as I said, this one's insane. They haven't even been able to, or haven't announced anything more than they were changing it, and this is what the speculation did. So again, QMMM just absolutely took off. And then lastly, another one, two of these actually have viability, although we'll talk about that at the end. The last one is the one that's taken off today is Ford, F-O-R-D. Mike Novogratz from Galaxy Digital was pumping this morning on CNBC. This one is a combination of Galaxy Digital Jump Crypto, which is part of Jump Capital, one of the biggest market makers in quant traders in the world. They're also connected to Multicoin, which is one of the top crypto market makers and VC companies. They are tremendously looking to build up on Solana. So this is going to be a Solana treasury company. So what we've seen over the past few days is 3 different companies that have all gone into the world of crypto. So let's talk about the viability of them. The first one we talked about, like we said, Octo, which Gio says is changing to Orbs here today. is this a company that I am going to be a huge proponent of? No. And the simple reason is the coin that they are buying is WorldCoin. It is pumping because it has to do with Sam Altman, the person behind OpenAI, and he is the person who is also the CEO of WorldCoin. The problem is that WorldCoin faces many issues when it comes to privacy protection. Again, what WorldCoin is looking to do is to separate AI from humans, and they say the way to do that is through scanning everyone's iris. Except that if you are in Europe and want to do business in the EU, you have something called the right to be forgotten. And that means that that coin doesn't fit into that in any way, shape, or form. So, a coin that has a lot of regulatory concerns, quite honestly, going forward, and a coin that's performance, if you look at WorldCoin over time, has been pretty miserable. At one time, back here in 2024, it traded at 12 bucks because, again, ticker, this is WorldCoin's, well, Octo, which is now Orbs, I guess. On my screen, it's still Octo, but it could be ORBS is what they're changing it to. This is WorldCoin, which goes under WLD on most. So WLD. And you can see this is the coin that the Treasury company is basing its whole business model around. It's a tough one for me. WorldCoin, like I said, hyped up on the Sam Altman news and the fact that it's related to him loosely, but it has not actually done anything. Doesn't have a lot of use case, and so far has not been widely adopted in the world of crypto. So, this makes this one a hard pass for me personally, and just wanted to bring everybody's attention to the positives and negatives with it. Again, if I'm looking for a crypto treasury company, I'm going to look for one that is using a coin that I think has a good future, something like Bitcoin, like Solana, like Ethereum, which is why I would be a fan of the others from there. If we look at Ford, would be a perfect example of what I do think you want to look for in a crypto treasury company. And what I mean there is it's being run by crypto native individuals, folks from Galaxy Digital, Jump Capital, Jane Street, Multicoin, all of these companies that have been heavily involved over the years when it comes to the world of crypto. And again, they are, definitely, they know what they're doing. Ton of PhDs involved in this, a ton of quant traders that are producing this, and they're good at what they do. Yes, thank you. Please hit that like button, share all those fun things. I am going to get back into the presentation now. There we go. And we do have to get to, if you would like to be entered into the word of the day, into the thing, just put crypto into the space. Crypto will get you into the swag wheel today. And those are Scott's dogs. What a cuties. There you go. Absolutely. Crypto. I'm going to leave it up here for a little bit, everybody. For the Wheel of Fortune. Awesome. I love it. I did want to point out something there too, that as you are getting ready to look to invest in these Bitcoin mining or Bitcoin treasury or crypto treasuries, you want to take a look at how they actually are raising their money because it's done a bunch of different ways. We see equity offerings that are being done. This is what Ford just did, a private investment in public equity, a PIPE it's called. So it was a private raise for stocks. Can I explain MSTY? I have to look it up. I don't know what MSTY is offhand. Hold it 1 second. That's a MicroStrategy ETF. So that's a I don't know what yield max is. I don't know that one. I apologize there. I don't know what that is, Christina. I don't follow the ETFs that cover MicroStrategy. So it is some sort of option income strategy on yield max on MSTR. I apologize. I don't know that one. Yeah. See, I don't like those ETFs. I have found that you are better off doing those things on your own than paying someone else to do it because they're getting paid whether or not they make profits. Those companies that do ETFs for that, just keep in mind that they just get paid to hold your money. They don't get paid whether they're good or bad at it. So that's why strategy ETFs in general have underperformed the market. And what happens is it's usually a flywheel effect. When it does start to go down, they go down tremendously because people lose interest in them quickly. And then the ETFs actually fold away because they don't have enough AUM under them. So do keep that in mind. If ETFs that are strategy ETFs, while it is in their best interest to be, to perform better than the market, it isn't their number one goal. Their number one goal is to actually have more people buy their ETF. So they're going to be marketeers and good at public, relations and things like that would be their stress versus what they stress versus stressing performance. So do keep that in mind. That is, yeah. That's the problem with ETF sometimes is, and I've got a good friend, Tuttle Capital, the gentleman who does a lot of these, is a very good friend of mine, Matthew Tuttle, and he'll tell you that's his job. His job is to pump his ETFs to get as much money under management because they get paid on that. If you don't know, BlackRock makes about $56 million a day, $56 million a day for managing IBIT's money. That's what they charge. And that's only like 0.025%. That's how much they have under management. And they settle it every day they take their fees. So just keep that in mind when doing it. Mr. Clark, do you have the wheel? What is my outlook on XRP, XLM? Robert, they're doing, I'm still a fan, Robert, still a fan. It's definitely a race, so to speak, to kind of get into that world of cross-border payments, but they are definitely there. They're definitely going to be a big part of it, without a doubt. Any other questions for me you guys have while we wait for the wheel here? Oh, I know what I should do is tell you what the other ways that they raise money. That's where I was. The other ways that they do raise money, keep in mind, is at the money equity programs. These are what you see a lot of the Bitcoin mining companies do because the crypto they own at a very significant discount to everybody else because they only pay energy costs versus the actually buying Bitcoin. So you see this a lot. Hut has done this a lot. Hut 8, Hive, Mara will do at the money equity programs. Convertible debt has been a big use case by MicroStrategy. That's the only company that's really gotten away with convertible debt at zero coupon notes. And then where MicroStrategy has done a ton is preferred stock. So you just want to keep a look at how do they raise money because not every Bitcoin mining or Bitcoin treasury company is raising money the same ways. And as you can see, there is literally 7 or 8 different ways that they all raise money. So do keep that in mind. You do want to, look at the different ways they are, know how each of them are doing it. David, I'm not a huge fan of Dogecoin. I like to trade it. Don't necessarily like to own it for long term. What I do is I buy it when it goes down, and then I tend to sell it on any pump. They just did get Dogecoin just got its own Bitcoin or not. I keep on saying Bitcoin treasury, its own crypto treasury company itself. So Dogecoin just got its own itself. That's the other thing I would warn you is it is seem to be the way to make quick money for these. Again, the insiders at a company like Octo, like QMMM, like Ford, became millionaires, if not billionaires, over the last week on these raises. So I will make sure that you understand that. They will sell shares into that money if they have the ability. It's in their best interest. Okay, let's get ready to spin the wheel. And it's a big wheel. Let's go. Good luck, everybody. Monty Mildenberg, are you in the house? Monty, if you are here, give us a heads up. Awesome. Congratulations, Monty. And Zora, you just missed out again. Zora, you are always right around the edge of these, I've noticed. Congrats, Monty. Everybody, if you are interested more in crypto, hit out Prosper Trading. Find out about our room, our crypto room. There's a webinar tonight. I know, Zora, you're almost there. We have a webinar tonight. I'm sure we can post the link to the webinar here for it. And again, thank you so much, everybody. Jake, great to see you like always. Everybody have a fantastic day from us. Again, that gives you a link to join tonight if you'd like to learn more about crypto and what's going on and find out more about what we do in our room. Everybody have a great day.